Oh, good. Okay,
That's how
so
I see it.
we are recording. Welcome to Advanced Toastmasters Online. And we've all been here before, so I'm going to just run through this. You remember, use your headsets or earphones and how to mute yourself. You can toggle between views if you need to, because I'm recording the view that I have will be the view that is actually seen on the recording. If you have questions, put them in the chat box. And this reminder that this meeting will be recorded. And you can click on the start here where it says become a member if you want to become a member. And I will read the mission of our Toastmasters Club to get us started. We are an advanced Toastmasters Club which supports maverick leaders to have more impact by providing advanced feedback on leadership skills and discovering what it means to be an out-of-the-box, innovative leader. And at this time, I'm going to say our meeting is started, gavel down, and welcome everyone. I will stop screening. Stop sharing. Hi. And today's meeting, our theme is great question. So if you think about that in terms of what we're doing today, I was thinking that great leaders ask great questions. So I had prepared some questions to ask throughout the day, but think about some of the things that we can ask ourselves as leaders, especially within this club. What do we want out of this club? Who do we want to be? These are some great questions that we can start out with. And at this time, I would like to introduce our timer, Pamela. Is going to be our timer. Can you tell us a little bit about what your role is today?
Well, excuse me, my role as timer is to track what's happening for the speeches, evaluations, and table topics. So, Francisco, are you doing 5 to 7 minute speech, or is it okay? And table topics is 1 to 2 minutes per person, and evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. So I will be using these sheets and also putting the information in the chat box as you come to whatever color it is time for you to reach. That's what I'll be doing today.
Awesome. And did you also say that you could do the grammarians?
Yes.
I'll counter too. Thank you.
Yeah, so I will do all counting and grammarian. I was unprepared with a word for the day. I guess we could have one. We had one last night in our Toastmasters Club that was ubiquitous, which means everywhere. So we'll just put that in there. People can use it if they want, and I will track use of the English language, which means I need to get a bigger piece of paper out, which I will do. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And our next, I want to introduce our first speaker today, which is Francisco. And Francisco is leveraging ATOs, our Advanced Toastmasters online day part for him to enjoy a lunchtime Toastmasters meeting close to where he works, right in his car. So he has serendipitously chosen to explore all things mobility, something which nowadays enables a lot of our members to join from wherever they're at. So today he would like to stay in the now, expand on some of the feedback he has already received on his mobile studio setup, and perhaps leave himself and the club with a couple of clear call to actions applicable whenever we choose to create content on the go, expanding and tying together with his June icebreaker to ATO. Here's Francisco with Stay in the Now, and this is his Competent Communicator number 2. So Francisco, please help me welcome Francisco.
Thank you, Don, everybody that has come here today, again, in the middle of a busy day and from all over the world. I have a tendency to tie speeches together. It's something that I once heard at a Toastmaster Leadership Institute. Sometimes you take one speech to the whole CC. And given our desire to charter quickly and the fact that we can only do 5 to 7 minute segments, I was hoping today, since it's my Organize Your Speech project of CC number I forgot, work on two things. One, to reiterate, much like Don already illustrated, that the advantage of being a member of ATO lies exactly and precisely on the fact that we can do this from anywhere. I had a conversation with her, for example, to expound on that first point, and this is what works for me right now. I take my lunch hour, I drive nearby where I know I have a better signal, I bring what I need. You know, right now I got my GoPro in front of me. You guys have met my tablet. There's a tablet. And essentially brainstorm. That's why I asked, for example, for the table topic section, which I hopefully will be able to look at later. Brainstorm on what makes us unique. They call this in marketing differentiating and positioning. And to me, as I said last time, ATO contains a great opportunity to bring members that are also doing in their other clubs, because raise your hand if you're not a member in another club. I mean, raise your hand if you are a member in another club. Sorry about that. And yes, and most of us, by virtue of this being an advanced club, already have a DTM or are actively working on closing it. And what do I mean by staying in the now? I feel due to their ubiquitous nature, our smartphones are both a blessing and something else, which I won't go into right now, because they have really turned into something that at least most of us will be looking at a handful of times per day. And by staying in the now, I think that ATO allows us to really broaden the Toastmaster experience farther than other online clubs by virtue of its maverick leader mission. I personally, as I offered to Don, plan to take this other recording that I have in front of me, share it over Facebook, share it on my page, try to get the most of it. I don't know if anybody heard this word, but I went to art school. I actually have the hat, but it's not in range right now. I went to art school, and there I was, I would say, educated on the fact that every single bit of work that we do, and in this case it was sketches on a sketchbook, was worth saving. So I translated to Toastmasters in terms of wherever you are right now, giving a speech, in this case through ATO, why not get more out of it? Which is the second point, and I would say my call to action to the club, since we are at this wonderful stage of being charter and acquiring members, and I would say, again, positioning ourselves as another club in the online realm that not only allows for, I would say, a convenient time for most of us in this portion of the world, but even for people in Europe, as I understand right now, some of you are already done with work. So my challenge to myself right now is be here as consistently as I possibly can, retransmit, if you will, the content and take it back to the clubs that I'm working with, because why not? And a guest that could be needing to close on a manual, somebody that has not done before, somebody that wants to experiment with the format, the possibilities are endless. I'm at 5 minutes. Somebody told me the other day that was a cool idea, so here's the tablet. I'm at 5. And thank you, Pamela. And as I will progress to the table topics, to start thinking about what you would like to contribute, where you are now in your goals. That's the VP and me talking, or base camp manager as we call them now, and where you would like to be by the time that you're investing and spending here with us at Advanced Toastmasters Online. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Francisco. Would you like to just go straight into asking your table topics questions at this point? I think that would be a great way to move forward. Are you prepared for that?
Perfect.
All right.
Yes, what I'm going to do is, for the record, I did 5 minutes 39. It's self-quantification, as they call it nowadays. So I'm going to reset, and I'm going to set this for, I guess, table topics. And
Francisco, I'm timing, so you don't have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my role. You can do it if you want, but my timing is what's going to be. I'm going to record according to my timing. Yeah.
So the question to everybody who is here right now, you've seen the format and you've seen the quality of what Dawn is helping us produce together. I, for one, think that the Facebook page, the videos, the way she starts the meeting, all those things are commendable. If I were to ask one of you, what would you say is the thing that you could ask a dual member, an advanced member, ideally somebody who is already interested in the format? What would be the one thing that you would like to highlight technically or format-wise from Advanced Toastmasters Online? And with that, I'm going to go to, I don't see Sandy, so I'm going to move on to my evaluator, Andrea. What would be the one thing that you would say to somebody, here's why ATO, and why now?
I think for me, the most important thing is the evaluations. The higher level evaluations that we have has helped me in other areas of my life. Right now, I've just joined a critique group for writing, and they were trying to figure out how to do that well. And it was really fun because I already had the skills, and especially with how we're doing it on ATO. We were talking about whether or not we wanted to share our writing ahead of time or listen to it being read and then evaluate it. And I advocated for listening to it and then evaluating it. One of the things that I found with the ATO format is that when we finish doing our verbal evaluations and then sit down to write them out, I have a much clearer idea of what I want to say, and I can add in important things like with you, Dawn, I did this recently, a website that might help you with something that you could improve on. And I thought that that would be an effective way to also do that with my writing club. So I thought that's something about ATO that I think is really important. I think that we can share that with people, that it is something that you will learn and grow through, and that you can take it into other venues after you're done here. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Andrea. That's exactly what I think we need to work on highlighting. That was a great answer to that question. So to simplify and move on, is we have Pamela and Patricia and Dawn on the line. And Tammy, I don't see her. I see her video, but she's not there. So Pamela, what would be the one thing that you would tell somebody who's interested on ATO that will justify them joining us?
Hey, thank you. So can somebody time me? Who's going to time me? Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. I would say for me, the one thing that I would tell somebody is that it's an opportunity for getting more specific and more tangible feedback on all levels, not just evaluations, which Andrea addressed, because I would have said the same thing that Andrea said about having that be important. Being with other advanced Toastmasters, which most people don't have that opportunity in their clubs. Most clubs have beginners. Being with advanced Toastmasters creates an environment where you can be more open and authentic and get more tangible insight and feedback and take some risks that you might not otherwise take if you were in a beginner's club or in a club that has beginners where there's a little more caution that's needed so people don't feel bad about themselves. We can take it. We've gotten lots of feedback over our time already, and we can take it. That's what I would tell somebody who was considering joining this club, is the permission, really, to take some risks in an advanced way, get better at whatever their desired goal is, whether it's speaking better, being better, evaluations, feedback, whatever it is. That's what I would recommend for people.
Perfect and right on time, 1 minute 30. Pamela, since you're officially the timer, just sharing it with you again.
Thank you.
New
I'll write
ways
it
of
down.
doing things, great, and covering for each other. It seems like Tammy joined us. Tammy, I don't know if you heard the question. So if you wanted to focus on one thing, like Andrea said, evaluations, Pamela says we're able to take risks, what would your one thing be that we could share with somebody as to why Advanced Toastmasters Online? Tammy.
Thank you for the question. Sorry, I'm home today and I have a sick dog, so I was checking on her. I would say the reason that I am drawn to an online club, I have my DTM and I'm halfway to a second DTM, but I am a college professor and we are using Zoom more and more. In fact, I have a hybrid class that meets once a week and half of my students are online. And I see this opportunity to speak at this level in Toastmasters. It's out of my comfort zone because I'm not in my home club, and learning how to communicate effectively in online meetings. So if I was trying to promote this to any potential new members, you know, this is kind of the, I don't want to say the wave of the future, but more and more businesses and industries are using this tool. And I think it will help us to be better communicators and learn how to not talk when it's not our turn and that kind of thing. That's one thing I really have problems with online meetings is people don't always mute themselves, or somebody starts talking and then somebody's talking over them. And I think this is a selling point for us, is how we can learn to be better communicators in the online webinar environment we live in. Thank you.
Excellent.
We may have lost him. We may have lost Francisco. So I'm going to jump in here and assume that I will be the next table topic participant in answering this question. I also agree that one of the things I like most about Advanced Toastmasters is we do get to do the online presentations. We get to learn advanced Toastmasters skills and using them online, but communicating on video is something that I think we do well, and it's an opportunity to come here each week and grow our skills, not just come in here and get kind of lazy. And I'm in a different environment today. Some of the same skills I use at home, I'm using here as well, like the lighting. I am actually getting lighting from a computer screen that's behind my laptop, which is, to me, I think that's brilliant. And if you see me reaching, I'm trying to get that lighting to stay on because it will darken out. But learning some of these little skills that we learn each week and bringing them together so we can communicate more effectively over time is one of the things that I like in the details of what we're doing here within Toastmasters, within this club. I like the fact that we can come together as advanced communicators. We're doing things like being professors during the day, working at colleges, Rick's a rabbi, and we have people who are already using this medium, like myself, for our coaching clients, and being able to do this in a more organized way, I think is very helpful. So that's my thoughts on why this club, why now. And since Francisco is still not here, Patricia, I'm going to ask you that same question and let you move on and finish until he comes back. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you, Dawn. Well, what I was thinking about is, it's the reason that I would recommend this club is because it's the convenience that the club can be accessed anywhere, anytime, on any mobile device, on your laptop. So even if you're at a business meeting, you're able to access the club. Even if you can't attend a regular Toastmasters club, this is one that's really suitable. Also, what stands out to me is the speeches. They are at a really high level. So I think you'd be forced to push your level up to a high standard. The evaluations are really good as well. You would be forced to think on your feet as to how to improve. And the table topics, I think they're at a very high level, but I think you gain a lot from it. So it's the technological side, I think, would be very advantageous to anyone willing to go forward to join this club. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Patricia. And if it's okay with everyone, and actually I'm the Toastmaster, so I get to say if it's okay or not. So I'm going to do a couple more questions, but I'm going to do the questions that I brought since Francisco's not here. So we can all play this great questions game and continue here. I'm going to read the question, and I would like, we'll go from the same order that we did before. So Andrea, if you could be prepared to answer the question. Are there any unwritten rules that you would like to break or rewrite within our club?
I'm not sure that I have thought about that enough to think about whether or not we have unwritten rules. I think one of them might be showing up on time. Although it's a really nice thing, actually our showing up early, I think is an unwritten rule that I would probably love to get rid of. I'm always late for everything. I'm consistently late. And so showing up early is really, really, really hard for me. And I think some days I would like to just rewrite that unwritten rule that we should show up early and show up late just for the sake of it. But on the other hand, it's rude to everybody else if I don't show up at least on time, and preferably 5 minutes early so I can listen to the whole spiel that we go through, and also because we need to be able to shift some of our roles on some days because people get sick and things like that. So I think that would be the only one that's even close to something that I might change.
Thank you, Andrea. That was a great answer. The next question, Pamela, you were second in that line, is that correct? Yes.
Yes, but hold on a second. I have to redo my phone.
Okay.
Because something happened and it keep coming up on lap and I don't know what to do with it.
Okay, well I can.
All right, I'm ready.
Oh, you're ready. Okay.
Okay, so, I got it.
Oh, so this.
Is somebody else timing me, by the way?
I can.
Okay, thanks, Andrea.
And Andrea can too. So pretend that our Toastmasters Club is an organized religion. What are the core beliefs and what constitutes a sin?
What constitutes what?
A sin.
A sin. Okay. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. What I learned about sin is that it's separation from God. That's the definition that I heard. I don't know how the separation from God applies, but it would be separation from leadership, I would say. A sin in this group would be making a commitment and not keeping it. my experience with leaders is one of the things that makes them effective leaders is that they keep their word and people can trust them. So if they are not keeping their word as a leader, I think that's a problem. They give their word to something and they don't follow through. Challenging people. And I know last minute things come up. This is not, we're not getting paid to work here, right? This is a volunteer thing, and I know things come up, but it's very hard for me personally when people commit to do roles and then cancel at the last minute. I just personally, I know it's life, I get it, but it just makes me crazy personally. So that's a hard thing for me, to not make this a priority and follow through with a commitment. So to me, that would be the sin, is breaking commitments. Madam
Awesome.
Toastmaster.
Thank you, Pamela. Okay, so the next question I'm going to ask Tammy, if you are ready and willing. So what would make ATO, which is our Advanced Toastmasters online, the ideal utopian club to help you meet your goals?
Well, that's an excellent question, particularly because you use the word utopian. So that makes me think of, this would be like the perfect club or the be-all to end-all club, and why wouldn't you want to join this club? I would say, I think this was kind of mentioned in the earlier table topic answer, was the flexibility you have with an online club is that you can pretty much log in, join in anywhere that you have access to, like Wi-Fi or whatever. You can sit in your coffee shop, you can sit in your car, as we've seen, home, work, as he's in his car. That the utopia would be, this is a great flexible way to broaden your Toastmaster skills and learn from others around the world that we would never have the opportunity to, sitting in our home club in our home state and not getting out of that comfort zone, as I mentioned earlier. So utopia would be flexibility and the endless opportunity to learn from very much distinguished and well-rounded and experienced Toastmasters. That would be utopia for me, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tammy. And to catch you up, Francisco, we answered all of your questions. I went through, and then I started with my questions since we had some time. And I have one more question from my set of questions that I would like to ask you, Francisco, if you are willing and able. So what is the most likely reason that someone would want to join our club, most likely reason, and what is the most likely reason someone would want to leave it? Francisco.
Dawn, I'll be very blunt. I appreciate the fact that we're able to meet at lunch. I haven't had a chance to have a club that meets during lunchtime in a long time. This is a business time. Yes, things have changed and not everybody's able to have this privilege, but I think the day part, as I call it, it's very conducive to people, professionals, business people, again, who are not able to spend a whole evening at a meeting. You're traveling, you're in a very busy situation. I would say Advanced Toastmasters Online fits the bill with a noon lunch meeting. I belong. I don't know how many of you raise your hand if you have never seen clubs like a Thursday noon or a Friday noon or something with noon in the name. I belong to one, and that club was very regular because every week at noon on a certain day we would meet. I'm joining because of that. Why would people live? Personally, I heard portions of what Tammy was saying. I wanted to add and expound on what she said. If they don't have the interest on this and they find the technology to be too challenging, this adds a layer. Look at me. I dropped off. I came back. you're working on the recording, etc. It's not everyone's cup of tea, as they would say. That would be maybe the reason why somebody could come, be just curious and realize, I'm okay with my regular meeting, I don't have time. Of course, time pressures may add to that. But going back to my first reason, I'm joining because it's at noon, it's convenient, and two, why would somebody leave because they don't find the technology attractive? Madam Table Topics Master.
And I'm going to ask you if you can ask your question, since you are the Table Topics Master of the original one, to Sandy, if Sandy's able to pop in, because she just popped in, if she's able to talk. I'm not sure. Yes, awesome. So Francisco, can you lead that so Sandy can answer your question?
Hi, Sandy. I gave a speech about, you gave us a theme a while back about why here, why now. So I'm trying to ask everybody who's here today, what would be the one thing that you would tell somebody why join ATO? If you have to pick one thing, Andrea talked about the way we do evaluations, which I believe is very close to pathways. Pamela talked about us being able to be real mavericks, to take risks, as she put it. Tammy was talking about how this is so relevant in so many professions nowadays. So what would Sandy's one thing why ATO be? Thank you.
As a personal stance, the reason why ATO is attractive to me is because I do have to do webinars. I do have to do live Facebook events, and it gives me a way to be able to practice that. Plus to also be involved in the Toastmasters environment, because I absolutely truly love Toastmasters and everything that Toastmasters International stands for, and extremely excited for Pathfinders, or Pathways, I'm sorry. And and then as a promotional stance, being able to market the club is that it does provide us a way to be able to hone our skills in a completely different way in an environment. Not a lot of people aren't speaking in front of everybody in person at meetings anymore. It is through webinars and or conference calls, and making sure that you're still making eye contact if it's a webinar, or even if it is just a conference call, making being able to still get your message across and be able to not use the ums and uhs and filler words like I'm doing at this moment. But that actually is one of my pet peeves with webinars and conference. I'm pointing to my phone over here, so I don't know if you see my hand moving. It is that because they're talking to nobody except for themselves, there's a lot of filler words used. So anyways, just to hone skills. Thank you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you. And Sandy, I don't know if I have time for one more. I would like to add, is there time for one more? Dawn,
Yes.
as our Toastmaster.
Yes,
Yep.
you have time for one more.
Okay, I see. And oh, have they asked you something, Patricia? Have you been a part of the table topics?
I have.
Oh, so you already answered a question. I don't know if Aaron would like to answer that same question. Why Advanced Toastmasters Online?
Why what again? What's the question? Because I missed
If you had to, Aaron, if you had to sum it up to one specific point, why would somebody join us as charter members of Advanced Toastmasters Online? What would be the one thing that you would like them to focus on?
Okay. So everyone can hear me though, just testing my mic before I start. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, welcome to the new arena of the technological world whereby we connect through online everywhere around the world. By joining online clubs or even talking overseas, connecting worlds, countries. That is whereby the essence of joining ATO lies. We are advanced Toastmasters, advanced leaders Toastmasters, because we are all metrics. We make things from impossibilities to possibilities. That is the strength of this club. The strength of this club with all this expertise, DTMs. Where can you find all the DTMs all gathered in one place? Except me, I'm not a DTM, unfortunately. But then, the best bits of making sure that you get the best benefits is a place whereby it's always changing, always having expert evaluation styles, always having new ideas that only focus on members, and that's what leaders do. And this direction of this club going to focus on members' needs is definitely one thing that advanced Toastmasters will be focusing on you as a member. Even if you're DTMs, that's where they grow. The value is always there. And bring this value will bring you to the next arena. The next arena to cope with the world dangers outside, where you can enjoy the best bits of staying at home or watching TV or enjoying coffee in front of this meeting right now. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in joining ATO. Although I'm not a charter member, although I'm always visiting, always becoming toastholic every single day of my life, I highly recommend ATO to anyone that may be very helpful to join us and get energetic, get fun, get all this goodness in a bottle. I wouldn't say a bottle, in front of a screen. So we always improve ourselves. Obviously, you're talking to real people. They are not robotic. And that's the bit. People are always supportive. Back to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much. I'm holding my phone with my hand, so I cannot make that applaud motion that I learned at the other club. Just to wrap the table topic master portion, again, I've asked for a lot of show of hands. How many of you, for example, now have the ability, as Tammy and Sandy, I think they both pointed out, it's so many professions. Nowadays, this is how we go literally see the doctor. So I have that service, and when it was explained to me, I immediately thought, oh my gosh, how many doctors will benefit from joining us? So I'm going to wrap these table topics with thanks to everybody who tried to summarize when this comes together as one piece, as one video. I'm pretty hopeful that we can watch it all together and share it with our friends so they understand why we're doing this on Wednesdays at noon. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Francisco, for pulling that together for us and for your speech as well. And at this point, I'd like to bring on Patricia as our general evaluator for the meeting and let her lead us through the evaluation portion of the meeting. And just to let you know, Patricia, Andrea is evaluating Francisco.
All right. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call upon Francisco's evaluator, Andrea, if you could please give your evaluation on Francisco's speech.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Today's speech by Francisco was relevant to all of us. We have to think about how we're going to use technology to reach out and to use our all of what we have available to us, not only to advance Toastmasters online, but also in our own lives. So this was a very relevant topic for all of us, using technology to work with people and to share information with them. Francisco has a unique setup, and he does use what he was showing us today in his speech and through his speech was that you can use technology even in your car, and you can do things in your car. You can do them wherever you are. You can use a lot of different gadgets. The GoPro camera, which actually has very high quality, the tablet and other things that he has available to him. Some of the things that the speech was put together, Francisco, I had some trouble getting into the speech with you because you tend to do some long-term explaining about why you're doing what you're doing before you actually start the speech. I would like you to just jump into the speech and give us a good punchline right at the beginning that grabs us and really wants us to listen to it. That's something I think you could really improve on, and I think that it would help you in some of the other things that you're doing. And all of us have to think about that. I was listening to a speech last night, and they missed one speech, did that one really well, and the other one didn't. And I wanted to listen to the one that had the punch. So think about how you're going to do the punch right at the beginning instead of explaining why you're doing what you're doing. Sorry about that, hit stuff. So that's just one thing that I would think about. The other part of that would be that I would like you to be a little more fluid about your transitions. You kind of start rambling, and I would like you to be a little more tight on that. However, your finish was so excellent. It really got me thinking about how can I use this technology in the future and in other areas, and I really appreciate what you did. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Andrea. So I'll pass control of the meeting back to our Toastmaster, Dawn.
Can I jump in for a second? Did we want to do a round robin on that? On his evaluation?
We have time.
Yes.
So, yes.
So I'll run that since I was his evaluator.
Yes.
Is there anyone that would like to give some feedback to Francisco about his speech today? If you would, just go ahead and jump in here.
How much time are we going to do this?
We're going to give 3 minutes to it.
Okay.
3 minutes total.
Yes, total. Anybody have anything you would like to add to what I said or help Francisco with his speech? Dawn?
Oh, yes, maybe. I was thinking, Francisco, you know, with listening to Andrea's feedback, did he disappear on us?
No, he's there.
Okay.
He's still there.
And okay, awesome. So one of the things I was thinking with your feedback, Andrea, is how do we help him bridge that gap between the long intro or what, you know, whatever it is that you were commenting on, to help him make it more concise. And I was thinking that it may just be as simple as an outline for his speech, because I think Francisco is really good at conceptualizing what he wants to say. And it maybe if he had an outline that would help him transition between points, and maybe that would help. And I'm not sure. I would love to hear what other people have to say about tools to help in that situation, because I know I kind of suffer from the same thing. So back to you, Andrea.
Thank you. Anyone else have any suggestion or help for Francisco? Well, I guess we're done with our round robin for today. Thank you all for thinking about it and joining in, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Now, thank you, Andrea. So what I'm going to do is pass control of the meeting back to our Toastmaster at the moment, who can look for the report for the day.
Patricia, you need to ask for the reports.
Thank you, Dawn. All right. You're doing this differently to my club. All right. So I'm going to give my general evaluation report. I felt, Andrea, I really, really thought that your evaluation of Francisco's speech was really good. I felt that it was extremely positive and encouraging. And I thought you were extremely thorough. And even though you gave recommendations, they came across in a very encouraging way. And I had recommendations written down as well, and mine synced in with yours. So overall, I felt very well done, Andrea. So I need to look for a timer's report. Do we get the
Yes. Sorry, I had to unmute. Francisco's speech was 5 minutes and 29 minutes, so he qualified for a 5 to 7 minute speech. Everyone qualified for table topics. Andrea was the evaluator. She did 2 minutes, 35 seconds, so she qualified. So everybody qualified today for timing.
Brilliant. And also the grammarian, can we get a grammarian report?
That would be me as well.
Yes.
I have a lot of details. What happened? Francisco used the word of the day. Francisco had, this is including your speech and your table topics, all the times you were talking, had 10 ands, connecting sentences that were unnecessary, 1 you know, 2 buts, 3 so's, 2 becauses, 8 ahs. Andrea had 7 ahs, 4 ums, 7 ands, 4 so's, 1 but. Tammy had 1 but, 4 so's, 4 ands. Dawn had 1 but, 10 ands, 2 ums, 1 you know, 1 ending a phrase that went and then there was nothing after it, 3 so's, 2 ahs. Patricia had 1 so. Sandy had 7 ands, 5 ums, and a plus 2 also, which is redundant. You could use plus or also. Aaron had 3 ands, a double clutch for the word arena, 1 so. And I didn't catch myself because I was speaking. That's my grammarian report for the day.
Thank you very much, Pamela. Also, I want to say well done to you for stepping in to do the role of grammarian and timer. So thank you very much. I thought it was very well done. I would also like to commend Dawn for including the club mission statements. I thought that was also very well done. We also, when we came in, we started on time. I thought it was very good the way that all roles were covered. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass control of the meeting back to our Toastmaster, Dawn.
Thank you, Patricia. You do such a wonderful job at being our general evaluator, so thank you. And at this time, I think all of us we don't have any guests, so to speak, but Tammy, I know this is your second or third time here. Any thoughts that you want to bring into our awareness or any feedback that you would like to give us? I'd love to hear that.
Well, I do have one question, only because I've only kind of jumped in a couple of times on and off. When you agree to be a speaker and agree to be Toastmaster or evaluator, how do we exchange the information we need ahead of time?
So we do that all online because we are an online club. And we have a website, which is our ato.toastmost.org website, which I'll be happy to plug you into. It's super easy to use, and we can fill the roles. It's the thing that I use to fill the agenda at the end of the meeting. We also communicate, it has a back end that sends out reminders to the Toastmaster, and so the Toastmaster then can see who's giving their speeches. There's also places for the speakers to fill in their introduction, and that's something that I hope that we can continue to try to do online. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and we just email each other, and it's been pretty effective. I think we're still growing. I don't know if that answered your question completely or not. If you have.
So if I was going to speak, and I don't want to speak until after July 4th because vacation and all that, but if I were to speak, how would I get my evaluation form to my evaluator?
Good. Yeah. So the website has uploaded already, like the evaluation questions, as long as it is it doesn't even matter. There's a generic pathways evaluation form that's on there. So it just, you say who you want to evaluate you. The evaluator goes in and says, I want to evaluate Tammy, and our questions will pop up. The only thing about that is if you're doing a hip pocket speech, or if you're a backup speaker, and you're the third speaker, then you might have to exchange via email, maybe take a snapshot This is what we've done. Take a snapshot of that evaluation form and send it over. Last week, I was going to take a snapshot and send it to Aaron, and Aaron actually already had that form ready for me, so he just sent his completed form already to me. So that's, I think, a great part of being in an advanced Toastmasters Club with people who have been doing this for a long time. So some of us have those manuals at hand. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah.
Lots
That's
of
great.
options.
I wasn't aware there was a website. I know there's the Facebook page, and that's, I saw that in, but not the other end too. I think I invited Angela Peterson to join. She said probably in a couple of weeks after the 4th. She's now in Ohio. She used to be in Nebraska with Sandy and I. So she has 2 DTMs, and hopefully she can join too, because she's very much an engaging member. So this helps if she's got questions for me to answer those too, because again, I didn't know there was a website to find all information out. So thank you.
Yeah, great. And if you can send me your email, I'll make sure that you get on there as a member of our website, and then it'll just walk you through. The website itself will walk you through that. And if you have any questions at all, you can ask me, or you can ask one of the other members who are a member, and they'll get you started. It's pretty easy. And yeah, Andrea says it takes some time, but it's an awesome website. So at this time, I'm going to call the meeting adjourned, and I am going to then open up our agenda for the next week so we can fill that up, and to let everybody here know.
Stop recording.
Yes, thank you. But I want to have this piece recorded that we will not be meeting on July the 4th. We just made that decision before the meeting today. So we're not meeting on July the 4th. And let me find my, oh, there it is. Stop recording.